嗨，大家好。我今天会用英文来讲但是如果等一下有问题，我可以用中文回答。So I'm a researcher at the MIT Media Lab, and work with a specific group called the Tangible Media Group. We try to make things tangible and physical, so it's a really interesting time to be in AI right now because everything is very abstract. So yeah, I work with Professor Ishii, who is well known for his research in HCI. And today I'll be talking more about how we can create more tangible user interfaces as well. So next slide, please. I want to start with something that is a bit more traditional here in Japan. There's this interesting game that people used to play called the Genji-ko. Anyone familiar with this game? Maybe you can raise your hand. It's a game about senses. Actually, it's a game about smell. And here we have like 3 different chapters of the Gale of Tenji, 源氏物语, where these artworks were created from. And if you look closely at these patterns right here, you might notice something similar to the logos that we were showing earlier. These are actually called Genji-ko. Basically like patterns or tuan that associates with specific smell. So these games that people would play in the Edo Jidai, in the Edo period, is a game about memory. And you'll be given 5 different smells to experiment with. They will come at different sequences, and your goal is to correctly guess which smell came first and which one came last. So if we go to the next slide. So basically this is really interesting because there's like a mathematical way of representing this. The way it works is that you can think of this as an incense stick. It's one stick, right? One stick corresponds to one smell. And when you have 2 different sticks, you have 2 different possibilities of smell combinations, right? Maybe the first one is different from the second one, or maybe they're the same, right? And this is what the symbolism is representing. You have 2 of the same smell, 2 of the different smells. And now when we introduce 3 different variations, we have 5 different ways of representing it. And when we have 5 different sticks, we actually corresponds to 52 ways of representing. So there's 52 sequences that is possible, and this is proven by the Bell numbers. And actually what's interesting is that these 52 patterns actually corresponds to 52 of the 54 chapters in the Tale of Genji. So each chapter has a specific sequence of smell associated with it. And when these aristocrats used to play this game, they would be thinking about the smell, but also about the chapters that this specific sequence of smell corresponds to. So sometimes they make special jokes about like the characters from that chapters, or they talk about specific natural motif that came from there. So it's like a very high-level philosophical game that they used to play. But actually today I'm not going to talk about too much mathematics. We'll be focusing on smell as a memory trigger. And if you can go to the next slide. The research that we're doing at the Tangible Media Group at MIT is called teleabsence. Teleabsence is a play on telepresence, where you can communicate with people across time and space, but now you're doing that with people that are not here anymore. Maybe they've passed away, or maybe they've never been born. This is a sketch that I did of the Kyo Mizudera. So I'm based in Kyoto, and I will try to explain the absence of teleabsence. Essentially, this was Professor Ishii. He's communicating with people from the past, people in the present, and people in the future. And this is me listening to his presentation. at this timeline, which is very now-oriented. So we want to create interfaces that allows people to remember each other, so that in the future, we will never be forgotten, but also that we're able to remember someone who might have passed away. Can we go to the next slide, please? So my background is in craft, and I've worked with many craftsmen in Kyoto. And what's interesting about craft is that it's all about memory preservation. This is a specific orimono creator based in Kyoto called Hoso. And they make these kimono obis for 300 years. And what's interesting is that each generation kind of passes on the design of the kimono onward to the next. And the way they pass it on is through these zuans, or like tuan in Chinese. But what's interesting about them is that they're never colored in. They're always left blank, so that the future generations can add their own color and add their own sensibility to the times into it. So that's how they preserve the memory and pass it on to future generations. So now you might be wondering, what does this talk even have to do with AI? Actually, what we did with this kimono maker was we digitized all of their zuans. There's about 20,000 of them. And we fed it to a GAN network, or generative adversarial network, and it created about 50,000 permutations of possible designs that are inspired by these traditional craft. And what we then did was we created a video that was AI generated that sequenced through all the possible permutations. So if we go on to the next slide, I'll play this video for you. And hopefully there's sound as well. It should play automatically, so just maybe one more time. Yeah, okay. I guess the sound is not working, but that's fine. Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got it. It's fine. It's okay. The video is AI generated, but the sound is not. So we're focused on the visuals here. And as you can see, each frame, the pattern has come alive. So we're circling through all the possible permutations, and the AI is allowing us to achieve this, which has never been done before. And the next step for us is to actually pause on one of these frames and to create a physical textile that is inspired by it. So that's what we're working on next. Next slide, please. Okay. Now on to another project that people might be more familiar with. This is pottery. And this is a pottery craftsman that's been around for 16 generations, so over 400 years. And they've been making pottery for a really, really long time. And what you see here are 4 different tea bowls that are made by 4 different craftsmen from the same family, so different generations. And what we're trying to do now is to recreate the processes that it takes to create each of these individual tea bowls. And the way we can achieve this is through analyzing the motion of the craftsmen as they're creating the tea bowl. So we fed an AI the motion capture of the data of the craftsman as he was recreating each of these tea bowls. And then we asked the AI to analyze what is the similarities between all of these tea bowls. Essentially, what is the overlapping component? Like, imagine this, if you overlay them on top of each other, all 16 generations, and ask the AI what is the common thread across all of them. Now they're able to help us understand what is actually asahiyaki, what is special about their tea bowls. So if we go on to the next slide, we actually have a video which has sound as well, but here you can also see it's already playing. But here is the AI trying to understand the skeleton of the craftsman as he was making the tea bowl. And you can imagine how future generations are able to put on, whether it's an AR headset or a VR headset, and essentially co-create with his ancestors whom he has never had a chance to meet. Right? And what kind of pottery would they be able to create? So for us, we're really interested in materials like textiles, materials like clay that have such a strong memory preservation aspect to it. But the question that we want to ask everyone here in the audience is, what is your teleabsence moment? Is there like a specific place and time where you remember someone that's not here anymore? And how do you try to like recreate those moments? So if you go to the next slide. Thanks. Actually, the next one. This is too technical. Yeah, okay. So an example that we usually talk about is, what if you can sketch something and then send that sketch to someone in heaven? Or you can write a postcard and send it to heaven. Or you can directly make a phone call to heaven. What would you want to hear? What would you want to get from their response? I think this is a question that we'll like to share with you today. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. If we go to the last slide, I have my contact information there, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any ideas. Love to hear them. Thank you very much.